There are two main developments we work in Charisma School. One is energy work, and the other is inner power and the development of your will. They weren't chosen randomly. There's a reason for them to be our main source of work for developing charisma and personal magnetism. And there's also a reason for them to be used together and not developed separately. Both of them are essential developments on your road to charisma, and both of them feed on one another in order for you to grow. So let's understand this a bit better. The most powerful energy healers and mystics that I've personally met, which means those persons who have a firm grasp at energy work, and those powerful mystics which were described to me by trusted others, aside from their undeniable personal magnetism, they were mostly very dry and rough kind of persons, even a bit rude sometimes, not easy persons to be around with. I remember a few of them even smoked and drank much more than the moderation that we're used to. Very kind of earthly persons. They were usually stubborn and bull-headed. They refused to change their minds or their ways, even when they are obviously wrong or stuck and would benefit in a change. Not at all what we usually imagine as a person who works with this kind of subtle energy. But my experience showed me this to be a common factor among them. Those who I've met like this came from all sorts of traditions, from Christianity, Freemasonry, Buddhism, yoga, and some of them no tradition at all, and mostly self-taught. Their common trait was always this kind of earthly kind of behavior with a few changes from one another, but the main traits were these. Those who I've met, which were the typical stereotype of New Age healers, very kind of watery persons, empathic, compassionate persons, talked in a low voice and very respectful, vegetarians, talked about their feelings and auras and so on, barely had even 5% of the power of those persons, much more earthly and rough on the edges like I described above. Obviously, we shouldn't emulate these bad characteristics of these earthly persons. If you want to increase your energetic influence, of course. You don't want to be rude, smoke, drink, or be dry to others. But we should learn why. Why those types of earthly persons have a more powerful presence and energetic influence on other people. Simply because the will and inner power is much stronger than the watery New Age persons. These earthly mystics are used to pushing out their own will into the world. They are used to getting their way. They are used to have an effect on physical reality, with very little emotions and feelings into the way. They value the will and the effect on physical reality over their own feelings. And because of this, anything they do comes straight from a very deep belief that they can do it, from a very deep will connection, which they use every day in all situations, and not just when they are doing anything energetic or when they need influence. They are like this, connecting to the will all the time. That's the true secret. It's very hard to only turn on the influence and will button on a particular situation when you need it, if during the rest of your day you are being a pushover, you are letting people run over you, you are procrastinating, you don't assert your own will. If you don't assert your own will during the rest of your day, doing it only when you need to will turn out to be a failure. That's only inevitable. The connection with your will must be there the whole time, to live in a constant act of will, where you are truly connected to what you are doing and affecting reality with your will, is the secret to charisma, influence, energy work, and all sorts of mystic roads. Don't get just the bad parts that I described above of the rudeness, stubbornness, smoking, and so on. These were consequences of them growing up with this kind of mindset. We can still affect reality around us and live constantly connected with our will without having these bad personality traits, which most likely you don't identify yourself with. Learn and develop the good traits and not the bad ones. All kind of energy work depends on your connection with your will. Regardless of what type of energy work, influence, healing, attraction, meditation, and so on, it's all about your will. With energy work, you want to affect physical reality with a subtle energy that is barely felt, so you need a leverage. The same way that you can't listen to a radio station without a radio device, you also cannot use this subtle energy, whether it's sexual energy, tension energy, healing energy, and so on, to affect the world without a powerful conductor like your will. The will is the radio device that allows you to broadcast your radio communications and receive the communications of other radio stations. There are, of course, other factors involved depending on what you're doing, but overall, the will and your own inner power is the background of all kind of energy work. These weak kind of persons with little inner power have little chance to master any kind of energy work, at least in a way that affects others and reality around them. You can always master energy work when everything you do is inside your own mind and you see no objective changes in the reality around you. Then it's very easy and no will is required, only a fertile imagination. The changes in reality that you seek must be as real and objective as the result of a football or soccer match. It had that result and not another, and it's observable by others and not just by you. So if you intend to use your will to affect reality in some way, even if you're a healer, then a strong connection with your will and the development of your own inner power is mandatory. For more information on charisma and personal magnetism, visit charismaschool.com. You can subscribe to the newsletter to receive new articles, courses, and videos as they are published. We specifically have courses which focuses on the development of energy work for real-life changes like influence and attraction. We have a course for inner power, personal magnetism, sexual magnetism, magnetic interactions, and a whole magnetic gate system that is being made available. Visit charismaschool.com for more information.